first thing we see here on the cover of your book, this is the Danish version, is your name in capitals, and the only other word is here dicte, so gedichten. And this suggests that everything we are going to read in this collection isn't fiction, but is 100% Yahya Hassan himself. Is that true?
No, it's up to you how you put it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just a collection of poems that I have written, and I couldn't really think of anything else for the title, because this is poems about my life, about my experiences, my thoughts, my feelings, and so on and so on. But of course I have written these things as I remember them, and nothing is 100% truth. You know, I don't know if I can say that this is the truth. I just think that it's my way to put it and to express myself and what I think and what I feel about certain things. So for me, it's a collection of poems. It's not the truth or something like that.
Ramadan, rovpels i fjeset i en dyrebils bakspejl. Allerede inden du nåede Sandholmlejren, var din mor et fotografi på væggen og en kiste pakket med slakker og flyveaske. Vi sulter måneden ud og køber et får i Bazar Vest. Du indkasserede pengene, vi fik af fastrene, og sagde, at det ikke er anstændigt, at børn har så mange penge, men jeg er stolt af dig, som du står der og griller halal. Ikke bare en flygtning med fuld skæg og joggingtøj. Nu lander en guldsmed på din arm.
Writing down what you experienced at home, where you were beaten by your father and where your mother fled to another apartment in the neighborhood, and the life in the state institutions where you went on with stealing and dealing. Was that quite easy or natural for you to write about that? Or did you have to conquer, for example, shame or anger?
No, I think that maybe when I was 13 or 15 or something like that, I wasn't able to do it. I would be influenced by things like shame and like things like. But now, after I have experienced all these things and I have lived many years away from my family and outside the home, and I was out of these ways to look at things, and there's a God all the time, and there's things like that. Things like that disappeared because I was in other surroundings, and there were other circumstances, so I could see religion, and I could see people in other ways than the religious way that I learned from my parents and from the environment that I grew up in.
En løb han, og pludselig var israelerne over os. Taskerne blev pakket, mens bomberne faldt. Morfar kørte os til Syrien. 7 palæstinenser i den gamle Mercedes og lyden af Fairuz. Børn på min egen alder kom over til bilen. Ville sælge toiletpapir, mens vi holdt for rødt. En lang tur i natten sluttede med et kys, og morfar kørte tilbage af den vej, som senere blev bombet. Jeg havde glædet mig til at komme over i pavillonerne, men jeg var blevet smidt ud af klassen. Jeg skulle over i møllen, over til Rami og Dawood og Ali og Mohammed. Vi stjal madpakker og Pokémon-kort, så porno i frikvarteret og kastede sten efter håndværkerne.
And do you understand people who get angry because they think you are?
Yeah, of course, because they only know what they have been told by their family, and the family only knows what they have been told by their family, and so on. So it's the same thoughts, generation for generation, just more stupid generation for generation. Because if we take my grandparents, for instance, who fled from Palestine in 48 and fled to a refugee camp in Lebanon, my grandparents' problems were this occupation, this war, a bulldozed house, and this unpredictable future as a refugee. And when my parents were born, their problems were growing up in a refugee camp. They were poor, and parents were violent, and problems like that, less opportunities for work and education. And then they fled from the refugee camp in Lebanon to Denmark, and then I was born. So my problems is not only something about identity or integration, and it's not something that starts in Denmark. It's these generations also that you have to look at, and you have to see what's happening through the generations, and that people's opportunities are getting worse generation for generation. And on this journey through generations, the culture and the literature and the music and things like that, they didn't survive. The only thing that survived was the religion, but without any spiritual way.
Paniske kindkys, 2 lyde på den ene kind og 2 på den anden, og pludselig kunne jeg ikke længere bede. De forhudlede vers forlod min krop, og når jeg endelig reciterede, var det på et toilet eller i en vantros frodige favn. Lad min mors hånd være, hun hilser ikke. Lad hende græde sine tårer, uscharmerende som sult. For jeg var bavian, jeg knuppede sønnen mod tanden. Mit lem bar jeg ikke kun for urin. Jeg pillede ved kusinerne i Allahs navn.
If we pretend that I'm a racist and that I hate Muslims, and that I have written these poems, and that I really wish that the whole right wing will buy my book, and that it will be used very much in racist agendas. And my book has sold about 100,000 copies, and let's just say that the majority of them are racist, and that they have used my book in racist agendas. If we pretend that, then we also have to pretend that maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of the buyers of my book are normal people who read the book and thought that it was very racist, and that they don't want to have anything to do with this book. Will the racist be responsible for these people's good choices and good thoughts? If I can't, as a racist, be responsible for these people's good choices, I will not, as a poet, be responsible for their stupid choices.